Hello and welcome to Get Involved Referee with Des Roach, Steve Conroy and me, Lindsay Heron, as we look back over, well, a very engrossing weekend in the SPFL, which was a very decisive weekend from a football point of view, chaps, obviously. Celtic finally getting over the line to clinch the title with a 2-0 victory at Tynecastle. But the burning issue for me over the weekend is clearly what is an obvious goal-scoring opportunity and what is not. 2 red cards and that situation and no action taken whatsoever. In a third situation, it's quite ironic that it should all happen at the same time, Steve.
Yeah, in all 3 variations in the one weekend. One we think was right, one VAR got involved and we think got it wrong, and one the VAR should have got involved and didn't and got it wrong. It's been a hell of a weekend, and there's a lot of chatting in it, but a lot of, I don't know, you despair sometimes about VAR and how it's used, but this weekend wasn't good.
I think it's went against the credentials a lot of the time of what we were told VAR was supposed to be about, and it's really put Scottish football into the spotlight for the wrong reasons, because people really don't understand what our guys are being asked to implement and what to do.
Mm-hmm. Let's start with the one that we all think was accurate and fair, and that was the St Johnstone Dundee United game at McDermott Park. Charlie Mulgrew beaten for pace by Marcus Hallberg and just left his leg trailing in there, Des, and clearly brought the man down. It was in a wide area though, so why is that a red card?
So having watched it a couple of times, Charlie was using his wide old head. He's made the challenge, realised he's lost a wee bit of pace here. He's kept the leg up. Ordinarily, I'd be quite happy for a caution because of the area. But when you look at the rest of the field of play behind him, there's no, I know Jim Goodwin said there's a covering defender coming across. There's not really. It's really Hallberg just going straight in on the Dundee United goalkeeper. Tight angle, not saying he's going to score, but the opportunity to have the shot there. Alan Muirs came across, made his decision. VAR wasn't involved.
So the game at McDermott Park, as you say, guys, a straight red card. Alan Muir on the spot. You obviously concur with him, Des, that it's the right decision. It looked a fairly obvious one for me, Steve.
Oh yeah, it was a clear red, denying a goal scoring opportunity. As Des said, it was out wide, and it's not saying that you're going to score a goal from the incident that it happens. Obviously, not even I could score from that distance, from how wide he is. It's a clear goal scoring opportunity. Charlie brought him down, no question about it, and did it deliberately. From that moment on, there was a clear chance for the St Johnstone player to move in, get closer to the goal and have a clear shot at goal. No impediment, despite what Jim Goodwin said. So that's a clear red. That's denying a clear goal scoring opportunity, not a question. And Alan caught that perfectly right.
Yeah, and it's, as I said, it's more to do with not the severity of the foul, but it's the space that's in behind for the St Johnstone player to attack. If there had been a couple of Dundee United players in close proximity or a chance to get across, I can see the merits in having a appealing for a yellow. But when you look at the wider action, yeah, it's a red card.
And then we go to Tynecastle on the Sunday. Very similar situation, a long ball. I think Tony Ralston was over the top for Dyson Maeda to chase. Alec Cochrane gets wrong side, clearly pulls him back. And the initial decision is a yellow card from Nick Walsh. The VAR, Willie Collum, decides that Nick should have a look at it, and he changes his mind, Steve, and makes it red.
Yes to all of them. Comparing it again to Charlie's one before, it was a long ball over. The Hearts defender, Cochrane, just get wrong-sided, done him. No question, it's a foul, it's a free kick. I agree absolutely with what Nick did. It was a foul, it was a caution. Every day of the week there was, forgive me, I don't know his name, there was a Hearts defender who was right there.
I think it was Kai Rolls coming in, yeah.
Right on him, not a doubt. Now, again, we're not saying that Maeda wouldn't have scored from that position, but what we're saying in that the instant that he was fouled, that was not a clear and obvious goal scoring opportunity. There's no way of predicting if he would have side-footed him, if he would have nutmegged him and then scored. No way of telling him. But the law doesn't allow for that. The law says it's a clear goal-scoring opportunity. At that point where the foul was committed, there was a Hearts defender on him. Not a chance at that point was that a clear goal-scoring opportunity. And for VAR to get involved in that, I think was absolutely shocking, because it's not a question of fact in that instance. It's an opinion. VAR does not belong in the realms of opinion. I don't know how many times we have to say it. It's an opinion piece. Your opinion is different from mine, it's different from yours, it's different from David's. And that's perfectly valid and it's perfectly acceptable. That's why we like football. VAR's got nothing to do with it, and Willie should not have been involved in that at all.
Where it's, for me, is I can see why he's got involved. Okay, I can accept that. Maeda's very fast. He's got ahead of it. Mm-hmm. But where it comes under denying an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, Maeda isn't in control of the ball at that moment in time. Mm-hmm. There's a wee tug there. Yeah. See if he'd been tugged and the ball's at his waist or at his chest, and he's touching it down and he's going on to take it. The ball had bounced a couple of yards away. So for me, it's impeding. Nick has got a feel for the game. He's got a decent angle on it. So it's an opinion that he's given. He's given that. No one in the crowd or anybody was looking for it. Not that should be the case. But we were told that the VAR wasn't there to re-referee a game. Mm-hmm. That's re-refereeing a game because there's been no clear and obvious error. And Nick's initial decision was correct. As I say, the obvious goal scoring opportunity, we'll never know because he wasn't in control of the ball.
I mean, you guys have been champions of Nick Walsh this season, and understandably so, but why did he not stick to his guns, Steve?
The only thing that I can think of, and I've asked a couple of people, not surprisingly, not had any firm answers back. The only thing I can think of, and again, this is out of ignorance, is that there must have been chat from the SFA, from the refereeing department, that you don't overrule a VAR review. It's happened once this season, and it was Willie.
Ironically.
Yeah, ironically. And if memory serves again, and my memory isn't brilliant, I think on that occasion he wasn't right. Every other decision this season, they have gone with the review. Mm-hmm. And, some you agree with, some you don't. But the laws of chance state that some of the reviews must be wrong, but not one of the refs has counteracted or disagreed with the VAR review. That's the only thing I can think of. And again, that's speaking out of ignorance. That's the only thing I can think of. Because Nick, this season, up until maybe the past couple of weeks, has been far and away our best referee. If the best referee that we've got goes and has a review and overturns his correct decision to give a wrong one, then there's something in that. Yeah.
It seems crazy, Des. I mean, surely to goodness you can't have... VAR was brought in to assist and enhance the refereeing experience, if you like, make sure that decisions are reached in the right manner. But this, like you say, this is an outside force covering the game.
Yeah, we said it's there to enhance clear and obvious errors if something's been blatantly missed. And as we used to say before VAR, the assistant referees and their fourth official, if I'm the only person in the stadium that doesn't see this, then you must let me know. Mm-hmm. However, if I'm seeing it and I'm closer to it, then you need to go with me. Mm-hmm. That's the way we'd always look at it. For me, as I said, I can understand why people think it's a obvious goal scoring opportunity. I'm not ignorant to that, but for me, an obvious goal scoring opportunity has to involve you being in control of the ball at that current moment in time. And I think it would have enhanced Nick even further if he'd went across there and said, do you know what? I've got the courage of my own convictions here, mm-hmm. and I'm quite happy to go with it. And as we say, he's our current number one referee, and he's taking advice from someone that's not operating at the same level as him.
Yeah, no, I agree. And just exactly the point that you said there, you can see other people's point of view. Absolutely, you can see there's an argument in it, in which case it's an opinion. VAR does not belong in there.
So that obviously changed the course of that match dramatically, and then it puts pressure on Nick a little bit, because every time Celtic make a tackle on a Hearts player, the entire crowd screaming their head off, demanding justice, isn't it?
Oh yeah, but you expect that anyway, so that shouldn't have made any difference at all in some of the noise when we've done games at Tynecastle. Although it's much smaller than Celtic Park and Ibrox, what a noise you get in there. So that shouldn't have affected Nick.
No, absolutely.
In the lead up to it as well, Nick was letting a lot go, letting a lot of robust challenges go, quite rightly, and he was letting the game flow. He was letting both teams get at it. He understood, and this again we go back to this opinion. He's got the heat of the game. He's got the feel of the game. What did we used to always get told? You've got to have a feel for the game, and he certainly did. So why he's overturned his own decision, I find it quite strange.
Yeah, I don't get
absolutely. And then our third example, or if you like, non-example of the way a goal-scoring opportunity should be applied, happened at Ibrox a few half an hour later, if you like. Aberdeen down at playing Rangers. Again, a long ball over the top. Connor Goldson's caught wrong side. Luis Lopez, a.k.a. Duke, wins the ball and seems to be grappled back by Goldson. It looked like a foul to me. It seems to continue into the box as well, guys. But then Duke gets the ball back and play on. Was the call in that particular match, and you wonder why.
Again, we've had all three possible scenarios in this one. What I will say in this one, and it's not sitting on the fence, this one wasn't John Beaton's fault. John Beaton was in the exactly correct position when Rangers were attacking. Exactly the correct position. And I can't remember who it was. The Aberdeen player lobbed the ball, a straight punt up into the other side. John, from that moment on, John wasn't in. Unless
he's Usain Bolt, he's not going to get there.
Yeah, he's not the decision maker then. In the pre-match instruction from the referee to the assistant, that will be covered, and he'll be, the exact scenario. When I'm away back there and it's in front of you, you're in charge.
Yeah.
So at that moment, that's the call of the assistant referee. You said he appeared to pull him back. There's no doubt he pulled him back. He rugby tackled him. That wouldn't have got him.
You've been kind of had Greco-Roman wrestling.
Well, I was going to say that it wouldn't have gone a miss at Scotsman on Friday night, and the Warriors could have done with a
what
decent
also should
tackle.
have been happening there, when that ball gets hit at such pace, and John, as you say in the pre-match, you would say, right, over to you, there should be communication in that whole run, saying, talk to me, he's holding him, outside, inside, penalty. There should be communication going through at that moment in time.
Absolutely.
As they're coming together.
And John, it's been that long since I can't remember if he did, but certainly in our day, the minute that ball gets pumped up there, then John's shouting, that's your call.
Your call.
Right.
So that John is blameless in that. All right, he's in charge of the ultimate decision, but he can't make a decision from where he is. Golson fouled him. There's no question at all. Now, if that had been down at the corner flag in the same scenario, people would have been going, should he have been yellow carded for that? Possibly. But where that was in the vicinity of the penalty area with no defender covering in behind Golson, no matter what some people might have said, that Rangers player who was coming in was not going to get him. Is that a clear goal scoring opportunity from when he turned him? But the other one from that was that inside the penalty area.
Yeah.
So you've got two possible VAR criteria met there, and nothing happened.
So Stephen Kirkland's the VAR, Des. So why has he not urged John Beaton to have a look at that?
Stephen Kirkland's the only person that can answer that question for us. If it was me on the pitch, I'd be extremely disappointed when I went in after the match, and I've seen that as an instant and thinking, why haven't you told me this? Why haven't you told me this? Because that is a major match incident. That's a potential minimum card, yellow. At that time, score was still 0-0. Aberdeen, if they get a penalty, they're straight in there. They're straight in there. They're battling for everything they can. I think the officials had to work as a better team unit there. And we're not here to give officials a hard time. We're here to back them up and try and give an explanation of how they reach those decisions. But to me, that was a clear and obvious a discussion is needed here.
Yeah. No, absolutely. On the two fronts, a possible penalty, possible red card, that needs to go for a review. And again, I'm saying it, and although it's up to John eventually, he's been guided by the assistant and by VAR. John can't make that decision.
So,
and that's not absolving John of anything. He was in the exactly correct position for the phase of play.
See, if John had given that as a penalty on his own, there's no credibility in that decision. It would have looked ridiculous. So John has done the right thing and allowed. Now remember, it's a team of officials, so he's relying on his teammates to make that decision for him, or at least help him get to that decision. If the assistant referee can't get involved, then the VAR has to get involved and say, I think you need to have a look. We've always said, don't change opinions, change facts. So VAR's there for facts. Now, we spoke about it at the Celtic game. This is the Rangers game. There was a fact. If everybody in the stadium could see it was a foul. So, I mean, why is the fourth official not seeing?
Is it a penalty, Steve?
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
So that's a complete mistake there by the officials that are supposed to help out John Beaton. And this is a great...
What we will say, we're talking about VAR getting involved in the foul. It's not the foul that VAR's involved in, it's the potential consequences.
Yep.
If that happens in the middle of the field and people think, he's got 30 yards to run, but there's people around him, VAR doesn't get involved in fouls. And that's why I'm saying if it's down in the corner and the same scenario happens, is it a foul, is it not? Don't care. It's nothing to do with VAR, but because of where it was.
But at Tynecastle, it got involved in a foul.
And
that's what it's not there for.
And it's wrong.
Yep.
Again, we keep saying it, but is this not the ideal opportunity for the SFA to come out and explain why this decision was not reached or even apologise to Aberdeen? I don't know if you've seen the compelling footage of Barry Robson's post-match interview at Ibrox. It was quite extraordinary. It didn't last very long, but he was basically questioning whether the VAR was actually covering the match because such was his incredulity that a decision didn't go his team's way.
Yeah, and I think in this instance he's right, maybe being a bit facetious about it, but the sentiment is right. Is it time to come out? I don't think the SFA should be coming out, and forgive me, I can't remember the name of the assistant in that instance. It's not to come out and slaughter him. It's to come out and explain what happened. And we're all human. We've all made mistakes. So you come out and say, look, our guy got it wrong. Fair enough. Again, it doesn't help Barry Robson. But if you come out and say, we made a mistake and it was an honest mistake, then fair enough. My biggest quibble in those kind of things is VAR. We all used to talk in the old days about trial by sports scene. This is the same kind of thing. Whoever's in VAR gets a chance to see it again and again and again. And I for the life of me, I don't understand how we can watch it over and over and get it wrong unless they're not getting the proper pictures. Don't know.
Presumably then those in power would look at these mistakes and they would have to take action for the inaction, if you like.
Well, we're getting to this point of the season. There's not many games left, and I don't know how many referees are available at this moment in time. But it's got to be that, the ultimate people in charge of the Scottish FA. They've got to be the ones that are getting through. Said it again: the proper education, the proper application, and what are they telling the guys? What are they expecting from them? I mean, this has just been a weekend that just highlighted the inadequacies of VAR for me. Unfortunately, but like Steve said, you won't ever get the SFA coming out making statements because it will be apology after apology, and it'll be, we didn't get it right because of this, or we didn't get it right because of that, and it makes them look bad. So they will never ever. And again, if they come out and run through something, and we go, okay, right, so that won't happen again. It is going to happen again. It will happen 4 weeks down the line, and we'll get a manager saying, well, you told us that week 10 and then it happened again week 14.
We've said right from the very beginning, and people can look back as long as they want. VAR has been running for 3 years, 4 years. There will always be mistakes because when you involve humans make mistakes. Our VAR is mistake every single week, every week. You bring that back to the very beginning when the staggering decision to introduce VAR midway through a season. It was absolutely inevitable and missed.
But it's a new player. You're not going to
that was the last time we heard anything from them. Mr. Maxwell himself predicted that it was going to be chaos. If the ultimate guy who's signing off everything knows that it's going to be chaos, then the whole point, everything that we've talked about, every single mistake goes back to the point where they sign it off knowing that it's going to lead to chaos. So they must know that our guys were not fully prepared at that point. I wrote it down somewhere. Trust the SFA to be 5 years late and still rush it. It goes right back to the very beginning. So although we've disagreed with a lot of our colleagues here, the blame lies absolutely and wholly with the SFA.
Interesting comments from one of your former colleagues, Bobby Madden, who has announced his retirement from the game after a short spell in English football, just covering League One and League Two matches. I think he was citing family reasons and business commitments. I think his own athleticism. He's talking about doing a triathlon or something. Good for him. Very fit man, clearly. But he was talking in the last week or so to another outlet, and he was basically calling for the SFA to release the audio conversation between a VAR and a referee to highlight how they came to a certain decision. You on board with that, Steve?
Nope.
Nope.
Would have to be very, very redacted. For the same reason that I don't think our referees will ever be mic'd up during a game, because you can hear too much of the industrial discussions that go on between players and managers and refs. By the same token, I don't want, not that I've got anything to hide, but if I'm having a discussion, a full and frank discussion with Des leading up to a decision, then it's not necessarily appropriate that everybody hears every single word that's used. Absolutely, the whole point of the discussion, don't mind publicising that, but they don't want to hear the choice of words that I might use.
I don't think the choice of words would be terribly bad. What I wouldn't want them doing is, if they were going to do it, they could only say, bullet point and say, VAR was asked to look at incident A, it was looked at 4 times and it was decided this was the outcome.
Yeah.
So I could maybe see that, possibly, but having live or recorded audio made available now. We've seen Andy Walker made comments in here a couple of weeks ago regarding the access that Sky had and what he could hear as a conversation. Mm-hmm. Well, we've seen that go down like a lead balloon, didn't we, and the ramifications that Sky were potentially going to come from that. So I don't think we'll ever get to the day that you're going to hear the live audio link of Steve talking to me saying, right, what's happening, this is blah, 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 blah. Fine. I could only ever see it as a transcript potentially, but not anything that's recorded.
No, nobody wants to hear the fact, and it could come to the exact same thing where you ask, or say I'm reviewing something, and the tenet of the discussion is that, sorry Des, I'm not able to help you, I don't have an adequate view. But you could bet your bottom dollar that those are not the choice of words that are used, but it comes to the same thing. So no.
No, I understand your thoughts in that regard, but I mean, Andy Walker, in fairness to him, was highlighting something that seemed, certainly alarming. If there was a VAR, telling a referee how to get out of an awkward situation rather than playing it by the book. So, like you say, there could be some kind of transcript scenario or an explanation rather than just the raw audio.
I think that, I don't know, I may be wrong, but I think that's the only way it could be done, and it would just be 3-4 bullet points on a specific incident that the club could get to say, well, this is the point that was reached. But no, I don't think live audio will ever see its way into Scottish refereeing.
The only way we get this information, Steve, is if one of the protagonists comes out and explains after they've spoken to the SFA's referee department. Like, for example, I think Stuart Kettlewell came out to talk about a goal that was a goal that wasn't disallowed in the Rangers match, the Motherwell Rangers match, and he spoke to Crawford Allen and got an explanation why. But he had to reveal that, the SFA aren't proactive in this regard.
No, and they never will be. Doesn't matter how much we talk here, you will never get the SFA, the referee department, to come out and say that. They never have and they never will.
Well, they've got a decision to make this weekend, fellows. The final Glasgow derby of the season. And we've just been racking our brains here and working out how we're going to get to the man who will be in the middle. And by default, it looks like it might be someone who made the biggest mistake of the weekend.
By all the possible connotations, then yes, it could come down to the person that we've had great discussion with, or the other possibility, the other possible names that we could mention, but might be Stephen McLean. But My suspicion,
the
fear is that it's going to be that person we've talked about.
The fact that Nick had Celtic this weekend, John had Rangers at the weekend, that tends to direct the way that they won't be involved this weekend. Willie being a VAR, yep, possibly. If the SFA are backing him up from what happened at the weekend, there's all probability they'll trust him with it. Out with that, Stephen McLean is the most qualified guy who's been there before and done it. So to me, those are the two guys that could get it.
Well, that's it, because Willie Collum was supposed to be the referee for the Scottish Cup semi-final and suffered that calf injury, we believe, which put him out. And obviously Don Robertson stepped into the breach very, very, very impressively. So clearly they won't give it to Don, because they don't normally do back-to-back appointments in this particular game. And there's maybe still some residue from the Kevin Clancy disgraceful post-match abuse that he suffered from the league match that finished 3-2 for Celtic. So, like you say, that there are only two candidates. It's Willie Collum or Stephen McLean, who hasn't done one of these games for, I think, about 4 or 5 seasons.
I agree. It doesn't mean that he's not capable of, not fully qualified for. I think Stephen is a perfectly safe and stable pair of hands. You certainly know that you're not going to get anybody who's flustered or who's going to be influenced by anything outside. So there's absolutely no reason that Stephen would get it. I fear sometimes of the thinking that goes on at the SFA, so I would not be surprised. Injury dependent, I wouldn't be surprised to see Willie on it.
Yeah, I concur. I would love to see Don get it again. I know he wasn't scheduled for it, but he done such a good job. But I think it's probably just too quick to throw him back in.
Yeah, why put him through that?
Yeah. So I think it leads us down to the two protagonists that we've just spoken about.
Now, they always say that it doesn't matter when Rangers and Celtic face each other; it's always bloody murder, to coin a phrase. There's nothing much at stake from a Celtic point of view. They're on their holidays now, having won the title, and although they want to try and get this points record that's up for grabs by winning the remaining 4 fixtures, and for Rangers, I suppose it's massive for them to prove that they can beat their rivals for the sake of their own supporters, and no Celtic supporters will be there, so it's a full house behind them. But you wouldn't be tempted to use one of the younger up-and-coming guys just to give them a taste of the game?
In this instance, nope. I think that this has the potential for being quite explosive. I think mainly for Rangers, because they now have something to prove, trophyless, and the first game as champions, you've got Celtic visiting you. This, I think, has all the potential for being quite an awkward one. And exactly as you said, I know Celtic are going for record points, record goals scored, but you can't, they're only human. They've got a cup final in a few weeks. This isn't the one you want to snap your cruciate or have an ankle injury. So I think that this could be an explosive one. I wouldn't put one of the boys in.
You think there'll be quite a bit of Rangers aggression then? That's what
I think they will be trying to prove something.
Yeah, I think if you were going to use a young guy, then it would be David Dickinson. I think he's by far the standout one coming up. He's got all the attributes. But like Steve, I think it might just be a wee bit too early. David will he'll get his time. It'll come. But yeah, I think this weekend, particularly with Michael Beale not having beaten Celtic since he came here as well, Rangers are going to come out all blood and thunder, I would anticipate. And Celtic, they'll be wanting to go for the record win, and then after the Rangers game, I think they'll be able to try and rest a couple of players and make sure they're looked after prior to the cup final.
Absolutely. Well, let's hope that there are plenty of goal-scoring opportunities. Whether they're illegal or legal, we'll find out on Saturday. We'll see you next time on Get Involved Referee.